clip right there?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Oh, give me a burger or something like that. I don't know.
When the evil shredder
When you're ready.
These turtle boys don't cut no slack.
Oh, I thought it was They Strike Back.
I don't
50-50.
know. Teenage
Huh?
Mutant
50-50.
Ninja
You rolling?
Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Come on, let's
Heroes
go.
in a half shell. Turtle power. Hi, welcome to All Things Creative, aka ATC. That was a lot of initials just now. All Things Creative. This is a conversation that is centered around creativity, around leadership, around faith, around a lot of different things. And I can really, truly, if I'm going through the scroll in my mind, my little Rolodex in my mind, I really cannot think of someone that I know that is more creative than Crystal Rae Wiley, who is my guest today. Not guest, because you're my friend.
Yeah.
You're my friend. It's a real thing. It's not.
I mean, it's not just Facebook. It's like
That's right.
authentic.
I wanted to start by a very special clip to illustrate the fact that we've known each other for 16 years. Not only have we known each other, we've sang on a worship team at different places for that amount of time.
Yeah.
So when you know someone for that long and you're worshiping with them for that long, things might happen. Things might happen like when you film a video and you're just worshiping and you're in your own space and you watch the footage back and lo and behold, the person next to you that you've known for 16 years, we actually ended up doing choreography in worship, choreography, not intentional. Justin, I'm gonna pull this up and I don't know if you can you get this? Can you see this? Can you pull in close to this if I show you this clip?
Oh my God.
I'm actually gonna show you the clip because you might not believe it. You might not believe that we did not plan this, okay? So I want you to pay attention to the hand signals. I want you to pay attention to the movement and the motion. And remember, this was not planned at all. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna show this little, you don't really have to hear it as much to enjoy what's happening. Oh, wait. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. And there it is again, okay? So that is just an example of knowing someone so long that clearly we look alike. I mean,
right?
Obviously.
We get mixed up all the time.
People always confuse me for you. It's so weird. But I do want to talk about your journey because you've been with us a long time.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot of different phases of not only yourself, but of me and my husband, of our journey in leadership and creativity and things like that. So I want to speak to that a little bit because, again, we're talking about creativity, and there's so many things around creativity that feel really mysterious, that feel really like, I think probably a lot of myths that are out there. Mm-hmm. So maybe you're like my myth buster today. Maybe you're going to come in and bust up some false thinking of it has to look like this or I have to do a certain thing. So I want to talk about a little bit about your journey of coming, if we were to name this segment, which for some reason I've been naming them. I don't know if it helps me keep it rolling. But if I'm naming it, I'm calling it from Chi-Town to H-Town.
Oh, I didn't know you were naming my journey.
This is your journey.
That's good.
That's your journey.
Okay.
Because that's where you started, and that's where you currently are. And in the middle, we had a little stint in what we would call A-Town.
Yes.
Abilene, Texas.
Abilene.
Not usually called A-Town by most people, but
no.
I was just making it work with all the letters.
I like it.
But so tell me your journey from how you got to Houston, and then your creativity journey as well through that.
Well, I'll smush it into a little condensed sandwich. I wanted to go to school in Texas because I was born here. So I'm actually a Texan by birthing. But I never saw it. We moved when I was really young. And so I was like,
Where were you born?
Austin.
What?
Yeah. And
I didn't know that about you.
I never saw it, and I was like, I'll study in Texas. And ended up getting accepted at Abilene Christian, and getting
throw up the sign, just throw it up.
Put it up there. Getting a scholarship there, and stayed and did the degree, and the program was really fantastic. did some radio after that, did some background scenes at the TV stations there in Abilene. I was on 3 different radio stations. The fun thing about small towns is you can kind of do odd things like that, like like poke around in different places. The only radio station I could not get on was the hip hop station in town. Like, I don't know what it is about my sound. Something about it does not sound urban, and so that urban.
Thank you also for the urbanness of your emotions.
B-boy, I lack it vocally. You know, you look at me and you're like, she's gonna throw down, and I fail.
But throw down in other ways.
In other ways. And so I was doing that NPR KACU and doing contemporary Christian. I was actually on a country station. I just couldn't get that hip hop. Things were going kind of okay, but I ended up leaving Abilene for 2 reasons. I'll just be honest.
Be honest.
A broken heart. I thought I was getting married, and he was wonderful, and I mean, write me a country song, cry me a river. It was like, oh no, he doesn't want me, you know. So that was no good, right? And then it was my first year of teaching, and if you talk to any teachers, their first year is Muhammad Ali and you in a ring, and I had never worn boxing gloves, and I'm in there with the champ, you know, and so it was like ding, 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 and, you know, 34 kids, and, you know, poof, I was down, you know, minute in. If anybody bet on me, they lost their money. And so between those 2 things, I was kind of crashing, and I became very staunch about the idea of, okay, I'm going to do art. And I think I'm that person that has to hear a hard no before I throw a tantrum. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'll go be an artist, you know? So it became, where do I go?
But that's what you studied.
I studied. Yeah. But I had been kind of afraid to really, you know, like there were things I was doing that was artsy in Abilene, but not, you know, and I was good in Abilene, but I wasn't sure if I was good in a larger venue, in a larger scene. Mm-hmm. You know, and maybe I'm just good here in the friendly frontier, which is fine. But I wanted to know. Mm-hmm. And so choosing between Chicago, New York, where I know no one, and I feel like I have "mug me" written on my head because, you know, I'm walking down the streets like, you know, they say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. Thank you. That's me. And so I don't need to go die, you know, in my search of, because I just stepped off the plane and you know, take her money. So it was either Houston or LA or Chicago. And one of the reasons I came to Houston was you guys. I was like, I need to go learn from the Pates about what a healthy relationship looks like. And I need some repair time. And so let me figure out how I can get to Houston. And so I applied at the Ensemble Theater and did some background work for them, crew stuff. I don't like saying I moved up the ladder with them because crew is not at the bottom.
Right,
crew is muscle. And thoughtful people and artistry is in crew. Yeah. But my heart was to be on stage. Mm-hmm. And I needed a foot in. Sure. And I needed a way to figure that out. So I did stage management work for them, background, crew, figured out what kind of artist I wanted to be based on the artist I was working for. When you have to serve others, it teaches you the kind of people you want to be if you're ever in that position. So that whole I need red M&Ms and I need my water, the Fuji water and all that kind of stuff. You just kind of go.
Clearly this was somebody from like Jersey that you were serving like that.
By the time I was done processing it, it probably was somebody from, there were no people from Jersey. It's just in my mind. That was the journey here. And then coming on board here and working part-time with the church and doing ensemble kind of helped me get stable while I was trying to deal with heart stuff and artistry stuff and where do I belong. Mm-hmm. And so that was the bulk of it. That's the Speedy Gonzalez version of it. But it's been such a blessed journey. First of all, ensemble is like its own little family of people, and so they've been very warm about my zaniness. You know, they just like, oh, you know, that's Crystal coming down the hallway because I'm like, But my one-woman show, its full-length performance was there at the ensemble. Some other pieces, I've done readings there. They've been very receptive about letting me figure out the work. And so I'm grateful for that. And being here on the team has been, on the worship team and the creative arts team, has been very grounding. And I'm constantly gleaning little things from you and from the people that are here. Just kind of, you know how you get your face kind of smashed in and somebody comes and does reconstructive surgery. So it's like, look, all my muscles are almost starting to work again. Like I'm almost, back into, you know, whatever this version of Crystal Rae is. But hitting 30 was important. I stopped apologizing for the art that's in my head. Like, I hope you like it.
It's great. It's great.
I'm a little bit past 30 now, but that for whatever reason, 30 was like running into that proverbial wall, and I needed that wall. The first piece I did produce though was in Abilene after I got turned down for Lion King, and so it was that no. I think there's something about me having to hear somebody say, no, you can't play with us, for me to be like, oh yeah, I'll play by myself, or I'll figure it out, or
that's part of taking risk too, is putting yourself out there might mean a no.
Yes.
But is the no always a bad thing?
It is not. Especially if it births art that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Which is my case. It's very rare that I want anybody to consider me a monkey or a baboon, but I wanted that when I went to audition for Lion King. I wanted to be Rafiki. I wanted the paint. I wanted the big claw. I wanted all of it.
And you would have been fantastic in the Lion King.
Thanks.
Yeah,
or at least a dancing piece of grass. I mean, I could have been grass, could I not have been? And yet when I got that no, it meant for me to start picking up my pen, and that was the best no in the world for me.
Like where we are. And it's what's really cool from my perspective is seeing, I've known Crystal when there were just dreams in your head, and now I know Crystal where those things are becoming a reality. Like you're writing, you're doing these things. And so there's so many things I want to talk about. There's so many questions I want to ask you. But you hit on something that actually made me want to go out of order a little bit, because you spoke to the idea of kind of planting yourself somewhere. Yeah. And I think sometimes, not all the time, I'm not stereotyping you creatives, but sometimes it can be really hard to commit to something and really plant yourself somewhere, because you're always thinking about the next thing, or you're always thinking about where can I use my gifts, or I need to do A, B, and C. This is the path to be able to get me where I want. And I think you're an amazing story and example of, you had a lot of dreams, you have potential for days, yet you just submitted yourself and were willing to just plant yourself in the ground somewhere and not uproot and move somewhere else when it got uncomfortable or when you got frustrated. Because I think you saw and recognized some value in, I don't really actually know how this is going to play out, but I realize that being connected is a part of that.
Yes.
And knowing other people and not just being on this island by myself and moving around, but planting yourself. Because you've planted yourself in a church. We were together in Abilene 8.5 years, and we just celebrated our 9-year anniversary in Houston, which you almost immediately came when we came. Thank you for that. But so you've been planted a long time in places, and I think sometimes that goes against the idea of you think about creative people.
Sure.
Right? Because you're always looking for the opportunity.
Sure. And especially if our money is thin and funny.
Right.
I need to eat, boo. So like you're sitting up there trying to figure that out. But I'm grateful that there was a way to stay afloat. And then I also think that creativity finds nourishment when its roots are deep. And I just like, I need some roots in a safe place to kind of grow. So
absolutely. And something I really want to specifically have you hit on, because I think this is where you will bring tremendous value to this conversation, is, let's be honest, you and I both, I put myself in this category, we are not always the most focused people. I mean, there's lots of life, there's lots of adventure, there's lots of ideas to chase. And so I know in my own life, I have suffered the detriment of not staying focused and being able to hone in the skill maybe that God has put in me, the ideas and the dreams that God has put in me, because I get distracted and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Move on to the next thing. And I think that can be a challenging thing for creatives. I think there's kind of a misunderstood idea about inspiration and writing, where you feel like it just has to hit me. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to be in the grocery store going down this aisle and I will get hit with inspiration from above. And maybe that probably does actually happen to you in the grocery store. Like, I wouldn't doubt that. But this idea that I can only create, I can only write when I'm inspired.
Sure.
But so much of the discipline of writing and creating is showing up every day to your craft.
Yeah.
And learning how to become disciplined and focused, especially if that's not your natural tendency. It kind of feels like you're wrestling something down to the ground.
Yeah.
Like, I will win. I will focus.
Yeah.
And I know for me, that's a challenge I've had, but I've actually seen you bear fruit in that, because you've gone from dreams and ideas, and I've had 20 plays for 20 years, into I actually have birthed some baby plays.
Yes.
And now they're products, but that didn't happen by you being distracted every day. So talk to us a little bit about showing up every day and how to develop the discipline of your craft.
I mean, if we were looking for a book that just really shook my senses, it was The One Thing. I want to say his last name is Keller. It's like a real estate guy. So maybe that's why I think it's Keller. But that book shook me to the core, and it was just like,
Do you remember the title?
It's called The One Thing.
The One Thing, okay.
And it was just like, figure out what the one thing is, parcel out your time. You spend 50% of your time doing what you have to do, 50% doing what you want to do or leading up to, and I mean the ratio changes or whatever, but you're hoping to split that day. So that was really great. On a daily basis, what makes my brain hurt is knowing somebody's coming to see my work. I make deadlines for myself, and I make performance dates for myself. Like, you're putting this on in September. You're gonna look like a fool. Tell everybody there's a show in September.
Hold you accountable.
Hold yourself accountable. Yeah. And then cook your own, get in that frying pan and figure it out. But I totally agree, that sense of inspiration meeting discipline. I think that they are friends. I think that they are married. I think that they fight with each other. I think that, I think that they are like Mary Kate and Ashley. There's some kind of, Siamese something that works together. And when you're missing one, you're wobbling. I think it's a dangerous thing, because if we're only waiting for inspiration, and she's late because she got out of bed late, like inspiration does, right? And if you're only like, I'm here at the typewriter, when inspiration shows up, you already are prepped and ready for her to sit down and, I'm so sorry, girl. I'm like, okay, so hey, here's what I was thinking. And you're like already set and ready, like, okay, thank you for showing up, But if you're not there, what I mean? Like, if you don't have I go back to Muhammad Ali for some reason, but it's kind of like, oh man, I'm in a street fight. But if I had been practicing and prepped when the moment or opportunity came, I would have been able to defend and deal with it. I think the same is with creativity, that somebody will knock at the door potentially, and you will either have something ready or you won't.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to say, oh wait, hold up, let me just write a screenplay real quick. Let me
just real quick.
Right, because I've had this and you're here now, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So my personal writing time, I love mornings, 5 a.m., 7 a.m. But as a teacher, that's not really available because you got to be there looking at students at 7. So my clock is bumped up to 4:30, 4 o'clock, getting up and trying to think and trying to get my head.
Yes.
Yeah. And then if it doesn't happen, then nighttime. But nighttime writing is personally not my favorite writing time. But I got to show up at some point, either night or day, or I was writing on my lunch break at school, like, oh crap, that was
get it in
instead of eating. Because if I don't write at some point in the day, so even if it's 10 minutes, there's Alessandra Pilar has a book called 10-Minute Coffee Break, and she just talks about, you have 10 minutes in your day, that's it, then you have enough time to write a paragraph.
For 10 minutes.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
So.
Wow. So you are up with the dawn. You're up before the dawn.
A lot of the time.
Because you are committed to making this happen. And I love that. That's so great. I am not going to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I the anti-morning person. I don't even and poor Crystal, we drag her into all of these nighttime songwriting sessions because we're songwriting, we're writing songs together. It's been really a fun and exciting time. But a lot of us are like, well, first schedule wise, but then also just some of us are night people. And so bless your heart.
I'm sitting here like,
thank you for enduring the nighttime. Thank you for bringing your creativity and showing up at night when that's not your best time. Because for whatever reason, that's just what worked. But you threw out some books, you threw out some practical things. But I love that because you're committed. Mm-hmm. You're committed. And there probably were times in your life where you weren't committed like that.
No, and a lot of that had to do with fear. Like me being worried that the work I was considering was subpar. And when you're grading yourself before you produce anything, you're aborting stuff that didn't even have a chance. So I was really afraid that I was untalented. So I said things like, oh, I just want to be behind stage, or I said other things about being around the world, but not admitting hi, I'm Crystal Rae, I'd like to be on Broadway. Like not raising my hand because don't want to be disappointed or to look foolish in front of others. But again, 30 kind of dealt with all of that. Like, look, babe, you have no time left.
That was a moment for you. It was a moment.
It was waking up like,
okay.
Just, let's go.
Yeah. And I've seen that. I've seen that difference in you in that maybe past couple of years, since you've been 30, only a couple of years. But just that all of a sudden, not all of a sudden because it's always been there, but maybe a more focused, honed in determination to show up to your craft every day and to make something happen. And I love that. And that's a perfect segue into one of the questions I wanted to ask you, because I think vulnerability and the idea of putting yourself out there is so huge. And I think most of us do stay scared. Just like you said, I was afraid I wasn't good enough. I was afraid people were going to look at me, Crystal Rae, and like you're kind of putting your own personal self on display for everyone to look at, to critique, to compare to. And so I think that people would probably want to know the answer to this question. After doing this for several years, you've written some plays now, and that's very much who you are because these plays came from you. It wasn't someone else's play. So does it get any easier after all of these years to put yourself out there, to be vulnerable, or are you still scared every single time you do it, every time you write something?
Yeah, I'm still a little nervous. Yeah, I've got a one-man show, Tide, and it has a reading coming up in a couple of days. And
would you like to give a specific date for things coming up, just in case we want people to come to your thing?
Monday, June 24th, 7 p.m., the Ensemble Theater. Again, very kind to host the reading, and it'll be performed by Jason Carmichael, who is an award-winning actor. He's amazing.
Wow, that's awesome.
But I'm still like, and Tide, I'm listening to my dad in my head. You're a writer, so you hear those sounds and those people and those characters, and I'm listening to him and I'm checking with the dad in my head when I reread it. Like, Dad, would you say that? It's not like he's passed away. I'm talking to his angel. He's just imaginary right now because he doesn't live in Texas with me. I'm talking to the sea. Dad, would you say it like that? Let me listen to you say it. And I'm listening to him say the line like, yeah, that was Crystal. I gotta go rewrite it. But I'm worried. I mean, I'm writing for a man. I'm not a man. I'm writing for the 50s, late 60s. I wasn't there. I'm writing about grief. I've never lost a child. So I've never had a child. So like when you're writing so far outside of what is your regular norm, it is a little nerve-wracking. But if I don't write the stories that are walking around in my mind, that to me is detrimental. I don't want God to ask me about that. That story I gave you? You didn't do anything with it, kiddo. And I'm like,
and I think at some point that has to become bigger than the fear. Right? It's that feeling of calling. It's that feeling of like, the Lord gave this to me, and no matter how I feel about it, if this doesn't get out there, then we will be lacking if we don't hear from you. And I very much feel that way about you. Like, I feel like if we didn't have Crystal Rae, her plays and her writing, we would be missing something because you have something to say. And I think that is the internal struggle of a lot of artists is, do I have anything to say, first of all? And is what I have to say valuable and is going to be helpful or is going to be good, or people look at me and go, am I good? And then you internalize it. But I think it would be super encouraging for people to hear you say that, because maybe there's an idea that, yeah, one day it's just going to be like, this is no thing. Like, I just write it, put it out there, I don't even worry. And maybe people exist like that. I don't know. I don't know anybody that exists like that, because it's still, to me, there's that element of, oh my gosh, this is me. This isn't somebody else. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And there is such vulnerability in that there will be people that will never take that leap. And I want them to take that leap, because what you have to say is worth saying. What you have to say is worth saying. It's valuable.
Yes.
And I'm just so passionate about that. But I think it's encouraging to hear people that are a little further down the road, like you, to turn around and say, no, it's still hard every time.
If the work's important, it's hard.
Yeah, that's true.
If it doesn't really bother you,
if it doesn't matter,
but if it's
you don't care.
Yeah, if you've invested a little bit of a splinter of your soul in that thing, you desire to see it be welcomed and all that. Doesn't mean it always happens.
Yeah.
I've had those readings and those performances where people pull me to the side and they're like, what? And you just have to kind of thank you for your feedback.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, because no is definitely a part of the arts.
I'm crushed on the inside. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then as the old folks say, eat the meat, spit out the bones.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a process where you can take what's good and leave what's bad, then you'll intake all of it, and that's no good for the system of creativity either. But I think it's part of it. Yeah,
taking risks, being bold, and part of these episodes is at our church and our creative team and our ministry, we're trying to create that culture of why not. We're trying to create that culture of the person. I gave an actual example of this in another episode of that email that you come up and you go, hey, I really want to do this, but I've never stepped out before. I'm kind of scared. I'm not very confident in what I feel like God has given me. And those are the people that we want to help inspire, because we're trying to create this culture of why not? Why not take the leap? Why not take the risk? And I am so grateful to have people like you in our church, because you're an example of that. I unintentionally, every episode so far has kind of been about a value that we have, and I really did not I didn't even do that on purpose.
Come through.
But that's just how it happened.
Let's go.
And I feel like your life, your example, and even our conversations, one of our values at City Life is boldness. We want to be bold. We don't want to be quiet about things that matter, like you said. And we don't want to be so afraid that the fear becomes bigger than the calling that God has put on us. And so, are you ever an example of boldness? Because you just take risks and leaps all the time. And there's people like my daughter, who's 13, who is so much like you and I both, but she's just got that thing in her brain of those stories and those, I've got 20 plays and songs, and she's so creative. And I love that she has people like you that she can look to help give her courage to be bold, and for you to bring that courage and boldness into our team. And I think it's so important, because if we're not bold at some point, if we don't take the leap, then tide just stays tied down to not seeing the light of day.
Exactly.
So,
I think the fear is about wanting to be liked and not wanting to be whatever our culture is calling, rude or confrontational or whatever. And I think that can inhibit art.
Yeah,
like
sure.
when you're making art in hopes to be liked, that's inhibiting.
Yep. Because you're gonna change how you think and feel about things to try to cater to certain things.
Yes. Yeah. And there was a guy talking about screenwriting, and he was saying you need to write what studios are looking for, and he tries to strike a balance between writing what they're looking for and writing what's important to him, like finding a way to blend the two of them together. And I can see that as a necessary evil, but if it is solely art to please, oftentimes it is not art that makes a difference. And so I worry. I think that's where some of that worry comes from when the art is happening. Is like, this art is as honest as I can make it, which might make it confrontational in some way.
Which means you might not like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is hard to do, but again, it all comes to you will be confronted with that time where it's, are you going to take the leap off of the cliff or not? Are you going to stay with your dreams because you're too afraid to put it out there, or will you be bold? And so Crystal Rae is coming on today to talk. Oh, I can't rhyme that any further than that. So I kind of felt like we could have almost done this whole episode like singing, and it was just saying back to each other.
That would be fun too.
Lines and I mean, maybe future episodes.
Sure.
But I think that you bring so much value to that conversation. So thank you for being bold. Thank you for bringing courage to creativity. Thanks for helping show people like me who are not a naturally disciplined person to show up every day to your writing and to do something that matters. So thanks, Crystal.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it. But I would love to know, we call this the Fave 5. What is your favorite food?
Olive Garden's chicken Alfredo, add broccoli and mushrooms. It is so good and fattening and everything perfect.
And you're such an Olive Garden person.
I really
in Houston
am.
With all of the like mini multiple.
What's your point? It's so good.
The point is Olive Garden's good. That's the point.
Olive Garden.
Oh my gosh. I think that's the funniest answer. And I love that. And if I would have thought about it for a second, I would have guessed that you would have said Olive Garden. And that's great. God bless Olive Garden.
Amen.
We love Olive Garden. I mean, I don't not love Olive Garden, but I'm just saying in Houston, there's probably like the authentic, like I moved my family from Italy and I came here and I did the restaurant,
No, I'm good with Carlos and them in the back making that making that Olive Garden. I'm good with that.
Which is
Jimmy,
fine.
whoever back there, you
fine.
just mix that up. I come down and grate that cheese.
Olive Garden has a fantastic pumpkin cheesecake.
I let them grate that cheese for like 10 years. Just leave the block,
A little more salt and pepper on my salad.
Just eat the block.
The salad and the breadsticks, though, you can almost just make a meal out of that. Soup, salad, and breadsticks.
Done it.
Do that? Yeah, I do that multiple times, actually. So
The waiter hates that.
right? I think it's really doing
great.
There goes my salad.
Basically.
Awesome answer. Okay, so what is your favorite animal in the world of animals? Just looked at me like
Elephants.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, why elephants?
I like them because they don't need to go quickly. They are bothered by nothing. Like
are.
unless you're an itty bitty elephant and there's a lion, but really there is nothing in the world that bothers an elephant.
That's true, and they don't forget anything.
They don't.
I mean, I'm not sure how we can measure that in real life, like not like Dumbo the elephant.
Basically.
But there's some way that some people along the way have measured that. I don't know how you measure things in animals.
They find their
But
way
they
back
don't forget.
to burial grounds. Yeah,
Oh, true,
and they're noisy.
true. Okay.
I like that. I
Okay.
like the trumpeting and the...
It's so dramatic
Yes,
too.
yeah.
I mean, it's so dramatic. I love that. That's a great animal. I'd love to ride an elephant one day. That'd
I
be
want
fun.
to too. There's like an elephant farm in Africa.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go to Africa. It would be fun. Let's do it.
I'm just scared I won't be able to get back on the plane. Like that actually concerns
You would
me.
stay,
like,
or
like they wouldn't let me back on.
They would let you back on. They would let you back on.
No, really.
All right, so we're in your car.
I'm in my car.
We're in your car. We're just driving down the street. We're having a good time. What's Crystal listening to right now? Like, what's your jam?
Right now?
Sure, right now.
Dave
What's your
Ramsey.
favorite right now? Okay, well, that's not music. It's music to the financial administrator's ears.
Dave Ramsey right now.
Hey, that's
Hollering
a
at
great,
people.
honest answer.
It's
Good for you.
Because I'm trying to change this finance life. And I
Dave
just
Ramsey's
listen
awesome.
to him
He's
fuss.
awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we could put it to music. I mean, better than I deserve, better than I deserve, better than I deserve, better. You're stupid. You're not seeing the inside of a restaurant unless you're working there. Better than I deserve. That's Dave Ramsey
come on.
all day.
I feel the spirit on that one. I think we need to go develop that after we're
his
done with
thing
it.
right there. It's
That
my-
was
now my
amazing.
thing.
Thank you for that. You know what? That was such a great answer. I'm not even going to make you answer music because that was that. And wow, we're going to move on from that. So if you have a day, an evening, a morning, since you're a morning person, to do whatever you want, and money was not an option, not an issue, what's fun for Crystal? What would be really fun right now to do? It could be literally anything, any scale of fun.
Go right now to Playwrights Horizon and do my one-woman show on their fantastic stage and just
Playwrights Horizon?
Yeah.
Okay, where's that?
New York.
Of course.
42nd Street.
Okay. A song of the Amelia, 42nd Street. Come and meet those dancing feet. Okay, so see, that brings me to the, this has nothing to do with Fave, but I almost had Crystal bring her tap shoes, and if I would have been able to locate, look at that look. Are you getting that look? That is the look I got, because she's been trying to get me to tap dance. Tap dancing is part of my background, and you have taken tap lessons, and now you are a tapper. And she's been waiting on the duet of Crystal and Kacee tapping. You've been waiting so long, and I almost did it today.
Pate is like the stinking Dominique Dawes of tap dance. It's like 5 gold medals. Here are my shoes.
That's generous.
It's
that's
like
generous.
doggone grease in a skillet. Your feet just like just popping. Can I get a lesson? Can I get a lesson? No lesson. Okay. All right.
I will give you a lesson. That's not true. That's not a true statement. Oh, now
I'm waiting.
Listen.
But
we almost did. I almost had us do some B-roll of tapping, and who knows, maybe we can add it in later, depending on when this airs. We'll see. But I can make it one of my goals in life is for us to tap together. In life.
Yes, please. Is it on tape?
I'd like to tap.
Is it on tape?
Did you record that? Holding me accountable over here.
Let's go.
Whatever. Okay, but yeah, that would be fun. Okay, so did you answer what was fun? Yes, doing your play.
Yes.
42nd Street.
42nd
Okay,
Street.
I got to get back. All right. So you are not a resident Houstonian. You did not. You transplanted into Houston, as did I. I love this great city of Houston. So what is one of your favorite things about Houston?
My favorite thing about Houston is the arts community. Oh, seems like such a cop-out to say, but it is so true.
But people don't know.
Like,
people don't know that there's such a giant scene here.
Like, Houston has the most theater seats within a capital, of a city, per capita, whatever the phrase is. Like, we do art. Like, they do art, and they're serious about it. And it's
art.
Honest, and it is edgy, and it isn't safe. It is, a lot of it is very poignant and just fantastic. And you want to just run Texas in the mud and be like, oh, it's just a bunch of, whatever you think of Texas, and people with guns and
whatever
on horses or something. I mean, the people with guns on horses. But in addition to that, they will buy a ticket to see some art.
Yeah.
And we put on some darn good art in this town. So
I agree.
I love that.
I agree. That is also one of my favorite things about Houston, and I think it's a little known fact about Houston that the scene is so big and so massive. And hey, we're trying to get out there and make good art in that space for the glory of God.
Right.
And so that's part of what we're doing as the creative team is we feel like, hey, we have something to say too.
Right.
And we have the best story of all stories to tell. So we're raising up an army of storytellers because we want to get in this art space. And we want to make a difference. And you already are doing that. You're making a difference because your plays are getting out there. People are coming to see you. Your work is getting out there, and you are a Christ-centered, spirit-empowered, and socially responsible person, a disciple of Christ. So your work reflects that. And I love that because we're out there, you're out there just doing big things. You're doing big things. which leads me to my next thing. I want to every friend that comes on, I do something, I give you a special thing. And I'm a lover of coffee. Of course, we all know this about me. If you didn't know me, you didn't know that about me. But I do love coffee. And so I wanted to give all my friends a mug that I felt like was something about them that was personal and special. Now listen, before I get this mug out, I need to say that it may or may not be used because Crystal has a special affinity for putting her coffee in jars. In salsa jars, in I don't know what other kinds, spaghetti sauce jars. You show up on a Sunday morning to rehearse, and you have a jar and it has coffee in it, and everyone is confused, and they're like, why the jar, first of all?
Recycling? No, I mean, I had an official coffee mug, but my students, I teach theater in a middle school, they've broken 2 of them.
So it was,
And
they
so
were
it
too
was just
precious.
like,
It was too precious.
You know what?
Okay.
I keep buying coffee mugs. And
Okay.
I have a cabinet. Shawnee was being shady. She was like, I brought you your coffee mug back. I know it's part of your set, you know, like, so she brought me
And it was a jar.
a salsa jar.
I almost gave you a jar today, but then I thought, no, you know what? I'm trying to be out here upgrading your life.
What?
So don't take the mug. Don't take the mug to school. Okay, that's just the easy answer. Don't take it to school. But you, my friend,
close my eyes?
are bold. No, you don't have to close your eyes. You, my friend, are bold, and so I wanted to give you this mug that says, "Be brave with your life."
Yes!
Because Crystal Rae is brave with her life. She has stepped out. I have watched you step out and step out and step out, and I love where you're going, and you're only getting started. The world is only starting to know about Crystal Rae. Trust me on this, and I'm going to get to say I knew her way back when, so that's cool. But this is going home with you today because maybe if you wake up and you don't feel brave, maybe this will remind you that you are that brave person, and you are an inspiration to us to be brave with your life. So I'm gonna sit next to my best day ever mug, because this is my permanent accomplice on the set here, is the best day ever mug. So as we're closing, I just want to give you an, you're welcome. You're welcome for that. Don't let your kids break it.
I know, right?
Yeah, just take the jar to school. Yeah, just take the jar to school and be free with that. But in closing, as we're wrapping up this thing here, is there any final encouragements that you would have to people out there, to the dreamers, to the creatives, to the writers who are listening to you and they're so inspired by you, and they're maybe like, I'm just starting out, or maybe I'm too afraid to even put my work out there? What would you say to them to encourage them as a final thought?
Finish.
Great.
I feel like there is a lot of work that we begin and we felt good about it, the opening paragraph, and we haven't gotten past the first paragraph. We haven't gotten past the first stanza. We haven't gotten past the first verse. Finish. Let the baby have an odd-shaped head. We can shape the head later.
So true.
Complete
Yeah.
it. Like,
That's great.
Yeah. Complete what you've started. No one else has the story like you have. No one else has it.
Yeah.
So if you don't do it that particular nuanced way you were doing it, won't be done. It just is impossible for it to be done.
Yeah.
And so finish.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. That's good. I received that for me, for my own personal life. And I would say too, and to add on to that, show up every day.
Yeah.
Show up every day to your gift that God has given you. Have the discipline and the diligence to show up to it. Even if you don't feel like you're that inspired, if you just keep showing up and showing up and showing up and plant yourself somewhere. Like we have the example of your story, just plant yourself somewhere where people can be a part of your journey, and they can love on you, and they can support you, and they can help you, and they can call things out in you. And don't be afraid to put roots in the ground, because what you said that was so beautiful is that creativity. I don't remember how you said it, but it was so great, just about the depth of the roots. Just that is really the depth of creativity, is those roots in the ground. So show up every day, finish, show up every day.
Yeah.
And then don't be afraid to plant yourself in a season where maybe you don't know where you're going, maybe you don't know what's next, maybe you don't know if this writing will ever see the light of day, but just keep on keeping on and keeping on. And as we say, the culture we're creating around here is, why not?
Yes.
Why not?
Add one thing?
Add it, please do.
This was another note from the book, The One Thing. He was saying that the difference between people who stay amateur and the people who go pro is having a coach.
Wow.
And that was what I was needing when I came here after that weird blowout in Abilene, was coaches. And that's what you and Chris were for me. But artistically, being willing to communicate out loud, I need a coach in this area. And being open to somebody else looking at your art and giving you the feedback you may or may not want to hear,
because in that coaching, we find our wings faster, we find our stride faster. And so, yeah.
Wow,
that would
that's
be the other
excellent.
thing.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank
you
you
for
for
being
having
my friend.
That's a pleasure.
You're also my friend, and you're my good friend, and you're my crazy friend.
Happily.
Who, if you've seen, will have watched probably another episode by now, you will understand the reference when I say crazy friend. But we're all kinds of crazy. But we do it together. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we've had some journeys. And so thank you for enduring the journey of Kacee Pate.
My joy.
And thank you for being here. And hopefully that you've been encouraged to continue in this conversation of creativity. Go out there today and do something. Do something you've never done before. Take the leap. Be bold. And I have to finish with asking the question, why not?